Alright, let's get going. Mastering the Hologram, Part 2, The Power to Manifest. Please join me in creating the intention to shift our consciousness into a new level of experience of this reality. By actively participating with our hearts and minds, we can create the intention that we will have a new level of understanding and awareness to make this shift happen. As the old saying goes, shift happens. Let's start off by watching a video by Erin Doherty on 3 signs we live in a simulated reality and what to do about it. You can watch the video on your own at this website, on this YouTube channel, if you care to watch it later and take in the information. But let's go ahead and watch it now. Erin makes a remarkable statement. Perhaps our consciousness creates our bodies and the experiences the body has. I have found this to be fundamentally true, as we saw in the Mechanics of Creation webinar. Waves, when observed, appear in particle form and move through a stair-step process of creating matter. They move from waves to quanta, to quarks, to atoms, to molecules and cells. And we experience our reality in a physical cellular form that is a simulated holographic reality. Remember, in part 1 we spoke about being the projector of our own reality. We said the film was information carried in our thoughts, imagination, aspirations, ambitions, desires and ideas. What we saw in part 1 was our thoughts and emotions are measurable energy. So this is the energy that we project. Our thoughts are the information and our emotions the light carrier wave that carries our thoughts. When our thoughts and emotions are in resonant coherence, they support each other and project and create a much stronger wave of energy into the hologram. When they are incoherent, that is, our thoughts and emotions, the wave collapses. Now we will learn how to direct that energy in positive ways that is self-supportive and avoids wave collapse. We will learn how our words and actions, directed by our values and standards, and supported by our attitudes, direct our thoughts and emotions in a self-supportive way. These 7 things are the imperatives to mastering the hologram. They are thoughts, emotions, words, actions, values, standards, and attitudes. Notice that there are 7 points, like there are 7 on-body chakras in our auric soul body fields. And when we get them aligned and working together in a dynamic way, we can change our experiences here and be able to manifest our experiences and reality here. Let's first look at the power energy that exists in the soul body and establish that there is where our power lies. When the soul leaves the body dies. Is it not a realistic and obvious assumption that the soul is what animates and gives the body life? That it's the battery or energy plant for the body? It is within the souls of people and all natural beings where their true power lies, and this power extends to their ability to alter their reality in ways that serve them. So in establishing that our true power exists within the soul, how do we harness that power? There are three primary energies that exist within the soul. The first is instinctive, intuitive choice or volition. The second is thought, that is just understandable information. The third is emotion, which is the carrier wave for our thoughts. You might think of them as energy generators, that is our thoughts and emotions, like power stations. Power stations need transmission and distribution lines in order to make their power available. In like fashion, the energy generated by the soul needs transmission lines and distribution points to convey their energy to the universe and make it available as usable energy. So what are the transmission lines and distributions, to use this analogy, in our hologram? The transmission lines of our soul energy are our values and standards that convey the true message from the soul to the universe. If we have low or uncertain values, we convey that low frequency energy and uncertainty to the universe. The distribution points of our soul energy are our attitudes that distributes the message from the soul to specific points in the universe. So we have an energy generator in our souls, and this energy is conveyed through our values and standards and distributed to specific points by our attitudes. If this is so simple, how did this all go wrong here in our hologram? The reason is we are generating low voltage, high resistance energy thoughts and emotions, have low values and standards, and limiting attitudes, and are magnificently adept at collapsing the wave of energy we produce. To put it mildly, succinctly, and accurately, our hologram of reality has been hijacked by a bunch of renegade, low-life, higher dimensional beings who have invaded our thoughts and emotions, conscripted our values and standards, and have induced negative attitudes within us in order to limit our abilities and keep us in a system of control, so they can feed off our energy because they are unable to generate their own energy. So it's best we begin to take back control of our own hologram. So where do we start? We start with our power generation system in our souls, our volition, our thoughts and emotions. Then we examine how we transmit this through our standards and values. And then we distribute this energy to our energy distribution points in our bodies, to Mother Earth, to the solar system and beyond by our attitudes. That's how powerful we are. This analogy may seem simple, and it is how the universe is fractal in nature. Each part of the fractal is the same and bears the same ratios and relationships to each other, no matter how great or small. In an energy sense, what are values? Values are the transmission lines by which we convey our energies of thoughts and emotions to our distribution points. Let me give you an example. Generally, if we are vibrating our energies at low frequencies, we transmit this low frequency energy through high resistance, and it doesn't carry very far. For instance, if we are a lounge lizard who just watches TV all day, we will resist any higher frequency thoughts, emotions, and activities. The one supports and attaches to the other. In most energy systems, there are what are called resistors. Resistors are, in an energy and energetic sense, blockages to the flow of energy. They have an increased capacity to block the flow of energy. Generally, if we are vibrating our energies at low frequencies, we transmit this low energy through high resistance, and it doesn't carry very far. However, if low and high energy generators have lower resistance through their values and standards, their energy will permeate further with less resistance. In our soul bodies, what are the resistors? The resistors are our values and standards and attitudes of limitation. We continually resist our unlimited potential, not because it doesn't exist, because we know it does, but because we are afraid of taking responsibility for it, because it raises our consciousness and cognitive abilities to a higher level than we ever imagined, a plane of being where we are unfamiliar with, and that is scary for us. I know how scary this can be. Let's look at it from another perspective. A biologist, scientist, and above all, a damn good human being, Dr. Bruce Lipton. Here is the address for the YouTube video we're going to watch, so if you'd like to watch it on your own sometime, please go ahead. When we become conscious, says Dr. Lipton, we can rewrite the experiences of our lives. But what do we have to do to become conscious? We have to rewrite the programming of our genetic code and of our thoughts and emotions. We have to transmit our thoughts and emotions in a highway of values and standards of low resistance and support them with our attitudes, and we are going to learn how to do that. Our subconscious mind's been programmed to behave in a certain way, to do certain things in a certain manner. So that's what actually is our programming. Our programming is something that has been programmed into us by somebody else, and it's not our original thoughts and emotions. There is a saying that says, if you keep doing what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. To put it another way, there is another saying that says, it is the height of insanity to keep doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. Why do we keep repeating past thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in a kind of continuous loop of self-defeat? Well, we learn them from our parents, from our siblings, our friends, peers at school, for instance, our religions, cultures, and society. All of these are carried in our subconscious. And we continuously play out this looping emotional and thought state, so that we seem unable to change that. This repetitive self-defeating behavior is called the cycle of self-defeat, where we project from a past that no longer exists into a future that doesn't exist yet either. We project our guilt and shame from the past into a future filled with anxieties and worry that keeps us alienated from and dissatisfied with the present. We have to learn to project only from our present and forget the past because it no longer exists. All the guilt and shame, anxieties and worry lowers our self-esteem, and that immobilizes us and keeps us from being present and thinking appropriate and original thoughts and feeling and experiencing the present from the heart and from taking appropriate action. The only thing that ever exists is the present. The only thing you can ever own is the present. But we have to take ownership of the present, because only in the present can we create a cherished past and create a future. After part 1, you should have each received the emotional competence and values spreadsheets. If you work through these spreadsheets, it will help you to identify which emotions are emotional habits and offer alternatives so you can restore your emotional competence. In part 3, the next part of this course, we will learn how our reality is like the picture frames of a film that captures our lives that we call timelines, and how we can shift and change our timelines and begin to manifest the experiences we consciously wish to have. Well, that's the end of part 2, folks. Please hang around and we'll discuss this some more.